Another one bites the dust, by the way. Deputy FBI Director Andrew McCabe, who's been facing pressure from Trump for months now, has stepped down. In order to get his retirement with full benefits, he will stay on the FBI payroll, conveniently for him, until mid-March, but not as Deputy FBI Director. How that works exactly, I'm not sure, but it's working for him.
I think he has some sick days and personal days.
Okay. Good for him. Trump has been treating McCabe terribly for a long time now. We've been talking about it. We now know that in the Oval Office meeting he had with McCabe after the firing of James Comey, Trump asked McCabe who he had voted for in 2016, which is an inappropriate question. Then, during a phone call, he told McCabe to ask his wife what it feels like to be a loser, since she had lost a political campaign shortly before that conversation took place. And then also recall that back in July, Donald Trump tweeted about Andrew McCabe, "Why didn't Attorney General Sessions replace acting FBI Director Andrew McCabe, a Comey friend who was in charge of Clinton investigation?" McCabe has been in the FBI since 1996. He's worked under two Republican directors of the FBI, Robert Mueller, as well as James Comey. And naturally, after the announcement, the revelation that Andrew McCabe would be stepping down, White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders said Trump had nothing to do with this. The White House played no role in the resignation of Andrew McCabe, and she referred future questions to the FBI. Now, right away, minutes, seconds even after this news broke, you had committed Trumpists saying McCabe is stepping aside because the FISA memo, once it's released, is just going to crush him. And I kind of pretended to buy into that yesterday. I guess I was a little too convincing because I jokingly tweeted, I believe the deputy FBI director stepped down because he knew he'd be fired as soon as the contents of the memo were released. I also believe Donald Trump is 6'3" tall and weighs 239 pounds. And apparently a lot of people only read that first sentence and thought I was serious. And I was saying, oh yeah, the memo was going to lead to his firing. So he got out early.
You're trolling the trolls.
I'm trolling it, no question about it. So let's break this down into its component parts, since there's really a lot to think about here. First of all, did Donald Trump push Andrew McCabe out directly or indirectly? I don't know, but I would argue that it's not hugely relevant, that the firing of James Comey and the order to fire Robert Mueller and the pressure on Jeff Sessions to get rid of McCabe, if there's going to be a charge of obstruction, then I don't think we even need to figure out whether or not McCabe actually was pressured to step down by anyone in the Trump administration. I think it becomes secondary or even tertiary to an obstruction charge.
Yeah, and I think it's definitely possible that McCabe was just used to flying under the radar.
Sure.
And he didn't like being in the public spotlight. He didn't like his wife being in the public spotlight.
Absolutely,
and he just wanted to get out once he could.
Yes, so I think that discussion, while interesting, is not hugely relevant to any possible upcoming charges related to obstruction. Now, along those same lines, McCabe was 2 months from retirement one way or the other, and there was every expectation he was going to step down, resign, quit, retire in March anyway. The McCabe replacement is actually very interesting because FBI Director Christopher Wray has chosen David Bowditch, I'm not exactly sure how it's pronounced, to replace Andrew McCabe. And once again, Bowditch is the type that Republicans by profile should love. He's a former police officer. He was a sniper on SWAT teams. He was on the JTTF, the Joint Terrorism Task Force. He fought against gangs. He is the epitome of the law and order guy that Trump claims to love. But from everything I've read, Bowditch is arguably even worse for Trump than McCabe because from every indication, everything I've read so far, he's not going to take any of Trump's crap, period. So I think that this will be very interesting to see. And again, for that reason, and because obstruction charges could exist, they could materialize regardless of Trump's involvement or non-involvement in the resignation of McCabe, I don't think that's really the question. The question that I have is, can the Mueller investigation continue unencumbered? I think we can say it probably can, right? I think that in all likelihood, at this point, the Mueller investigation is continuing unencumbered. And you know, I have no emotional or ideological attachment to anything in particular coming out of that investigation. To be perfectly clear, even though there is this cottage industry of people, particularly on the internet, who want to talk about how I have predetermined that there was X, Y, or Z crime committed. From an ideological perspective, I don't care. What I want is a full and unencumbered investigation, so that we can finally get a determination on that, and then we can all move on to bigger and better things.
Yeah, just get the facts out. None of these firings and, trying to obfuscate and
Yes, that's
distract
exactly
from
what
the
I'm
issue.
saying. Exactly what I am saying. Send me your thoughts. I'm on Twitter at @dpakman. The show is on Twitter at David Pakman Show, and boy, do we have a good one for you today. Our sponsor for today's episode of the David Pakman Show is Brilliant.org. If you watch our channel or listen to our podcast, yeah, you're into politics, you're into daily news, but maybe you want to dig a little deeper. On the program, we talk about climate change, taxes, technology, political philosophy. But if you really want to understand these issues at the most fundamental level, you have to familiarize yourself with what is actually underpinning all of it. And that's math and philosophy, the hard sciences, and the social sciences. And that's where Brilliant comes in. Brilliant is a truly unique and innovative online learning service that allows you to master important real-world math and science concepts. That means everything from probability and statistics on one hand to logic and problem solving on the other, and renewable energy and climate science and criminology, you name it. And you can get started right this second by signing up for free at brilliant.org/David Pakman. And the first 200 people who visit brilliant.org/David Pakman will get 20% off an annual premium membership. One more time, that is brilliant.org/David Pakman.